Before I start, I have to excuse my Dutch. It's really non-existing, so I have to do this in English, so I hope that's fine. I could do it in Norwegian, but I guess that wouldn't help either. And then I have to excuse my attire. Everyone is so well-dressed, but this is how it is working for a startup. And it says Airbnb on my back, so it's quite good. Yeah, so I'm here to talk about Airbnb. How many people have ever heard about Airbnb? Wow. And how many people have traveled on Airbnb? And how many people have hosted on Airbnb, rented out your space? It's a couple, or even 10. That's good. So Airbnb is a way to book someone's home anywhere in the world. And it's a new way of traveling. You can book someone's home and rent their entire space. You can even book someone's room in that space, living together with them, which is, at least for many, many people, a totally new way to experience new places and learn new lifestyles. Staying with someone is not as staying in a hotel. You're just not living with them, you're also learning about their lifestyle. They are telling you where to go. In my world, the world's best concierge service, telling you the exact, the hidden gems in the city, where local bars, where to go, what to see. I always tell one personal story. I've been with the company now for 2.5 years, and the first time I had an experience like, wow, this is so much more than just a room or roof over my head, was in Copenhagen. I tried to book a place with a family, and the mom in the house, she said that you're more than welcome to join, but you have to spend an hour with my kids. And I was thinking like, wow, she wants a free babysitter, but fair enough, I needed a place to stay. We were quite small at that point, so I didn't have too many options. And I came home from work, it was about 5 or 6 that evening, and the kids were sitting there. She had even prepared food for me, so it was an extra bonus. And then these kids started asking me all these questions. What's your favorite music? What's your favorite football player? What do you eat? And me being Norwegian in Denmark, not that exotic. But I think that, at least I had a good experience myself. But when the kids went to bed that night, I stayed up talking to their parents, and they said that we have had more than 30 guests at this point, and we tell everyone to spend an hour with our kids. And they said that our kids, we believe, or they thought at least, that they were more open-minded. They were less afraid of the unknown, people that are big, dark, light, tall. And for me, going to bed that night, I was like, wow, this is amazing. So it's a mission for our company, bringing the world together by actually traveling, which is not something new. We've been traveling for ages. People have even been staying in someone's home if you go 50 or 100 years back when I talked to my grandma. But now we're using the technology to bring this to the scale we're at today. And of course, this is built on trust. Staying with someone you don't know, it sounds a bit crazy, it maybe is, but it's actually working. And the story behind Airbnb is quite interesting. Because our founders, they didn't start this company by sitting down and we're going to make a big company and how do we make a lot of money. They started the company based on having a big problem. They were living in an apartment in San Francisco, Rausch Street, still living there today. Joe and Brian sharing apartment. And the big problem they faced is that they didn't have enough money to pay their rent. And in the US, getting thrown out of your house, it's actually a bigger problem than getting thrown out from your house in Northern Europe, I think. I think our social security net is a bit better here. So they started figuring out what do we do and how do we solve this. They were straight out of design school, both of them. They didn't have a job, and yeah, what to do. One of them decided or came up with the idea that why don't we turn our apartment into bed and breakfast. Sounded like a great idea, but they didn't have any extra bedrooms. But they had 2 airbeds. So they decided to create a website they called Air Bed and Breakfast. I said that they are designers. I'm not sure if they're very proud of the first design of their first website. They claim they created it in 12 hours. I don't know if it's true. But they got fully booked, and it solved their problem that they made enough money. But it was not the money that got them caught on this idea of creating a business out of it. It was the experience. They felt so good, felt so proud of sharing their lifestyle, sharing their apartment, sharing their neighborhood, sharing even their city, that they created to make this even bigger. They were smart enough, starting a new company, you need supply and you need demand. With no money, they didn't have a big marketing budget, but they were smart enough. This was when Obama was elected the first campaign back in 2008. So they traveled a couple of weeks ahead of his, where he was holding these big speeches. Every hotel was single or fully booked, so they actually knocked on doors, telling people that, hey, we have this website where you can make some extra money on your living room, on an airbed, or your entire place. And they saw an amazing growth. Then the whole company kind of died. Obama got elected, he was happy, but they didn't have enough demand. No one wanted to stay in these listings or these apartments anymore. So these cereal boxes that you actually see, they were designed by our two first founders, and they actually funded the company selling these on eBay. And I think they sold cereal worth of $40,000. And because of that, and because they added a guy in the middle, Nate, he is a Harvard graduate engineer. He went to school with Mark Zuckerberg. I think that's a good story that he's the 500th Facebook user in the world. I'm a geek, so I think that's cool. I don't know about you. But they got taken into Y Combinator, a famous incubator in San Francisco, where the whole mission started to grow to where we are today. And how does it really work? It can be, as I said, an apartment for a night. It can be a castle for a week, or it can be a big house for even a month. It's free to list. Everyone is creating a profile. You use the same profile to either rent out or rent someone's home. You verify yourself either online or actually both online and offline, and then you're good to go. You put it on Airbnb, and then you open your calendar, blocking off the dates you're not available, and then it's available for millions of people out there. And is this really working? Is it working? Can you really make a company out of renting out your bed to strangers? And I would say so. We're growing extremely fast, and we see that the ratio of growth is continuing as we move on as well. So the absolute numbers we're seeing now is quite phenomenal. And so now we have 650,000 listings worldwide. We're in more than 30,000 cities in 190 countries around the world. So we are pretty much covering the whole world. We are not huge in every single market, but we see that in the bigger cities, pretty much everywhere, we have what we call critical mass, so it should be possible for all of you to find a place to stay if you go there tonight. This is what it looked like in 2009. The big orange circle is where we had more than 1,000 listings. And to 2010, we see it was keep growing. And then in 2011, we saw that it exploded, especially in Europe. Today, Europe is more than 50% of our business. And by the end of 2012, we were covering pretty much all of Europe and having, what I said, critical mass everywhere. But you also need users to book. It's not enough just to have supply. And we, by the end of 2013, we reached 11 million users that had actually booked a night on Airbnb. And we're seeing now that we have about 1 million guests every month. And how do you design this trusted marketplace? Because it's all about trust. We have a referral program. Not enough just to get new users. We need to, make people feel safe about this. And I think it's a lot about timing. I like to think about the internet maybe in 4 different generations. I remember what I call the first generation when I grew up, logging into my 56K KB modem with this weird noise. I got online, it was really cool, but I didn't have anything to look at. There was no content on the internet at all, but we were online, and my parents were furious because the phone line was busy, but I was online. And then we got into the second generation, starting uploading content. We started sharing photos, YouTube came with video clips. And then the third generation was the social media part, starting now 7-8 years ago. We started sharing with people we already knew. through Facebook, and then we started through LinkedIn, sharing our resume, our CV, which was probably crazy 10 years ago. If I talked to my dad, he would refuse to use even his credit card online 10 years ago. Now he's traveling on Airbnb and shopping more, or my mom is actually shopping more online than she's offline. And now I think that Airbnb, together with Uber, together with a lot of these other companies popping up, we're using the technology to do something better offline. And I think, as I said, the timing, we are more used to using the technology today. It's not as scary as it used to be. And design, something with the internet companies is that it's easily copied. We see copycats popping up all over the time. Airbnb for this, Airbnb for that. Airbnb in a neighborhood where they tried to conquer us, and that's why we have so strong focus on design. Design is something you can get a relationship to, something that it's hard to copy. 2 or 3 founders are designers. One thing that we decided to do early on is to offer professional photography to all our hosts. We're sending a photographer. We have a network of about 5,000 freelance photographers all over the world. Our first professional photographer was our founder. He was not the professional one. He said he was. Fake it till you make it, someone is saying. But today, I'm not sure what we're going to do with this, but someone told me the other day that we have the biggest collection of interior design photos in the world. Also something I think it's cool to say. I have no idea what we're going to do with it, but it sounds good. We also have a very nicely designed neighborhood guide to help people think about travel. A lot of people search on our site, but they don't know where to go. Most people have today traveled to Paris, traveled to Barcelona. They want to experience new places, and that's why we have these guides that are created by the locals. And you can see how it is living like a local person and what they recommend in their different neighborhoods. This is an example of our profiles. When you go and stay somewhere, you leave someone a review. And that's the key to this trusted platform. It's self-organized, self-monetized in a way that if I stay somewhere, I give my host a review saying that it was clean, they were nice, they shared a great story, they told me a lot about their city and where to go. I get a review saying that Evan was behaving well, he had a good story to tell, we shared about the wine, and I can recommend him to others. And we see as we grow that more and more people get more and more reviews. I myself, I've stayed on Airbnb now, I think I have 80 reviews. I stayed on Airbnb for a year and a half, a new place every week. It was an amazing experience, a bit because I'm a bit lazy, so it was nice to come into a new clean place every week, but also I had some amazing experiences. We also have, of course, a customer support department being available 24/7 in all time zones. Having 200,000 people staying on our site every night, things can go wrong. There will be things that are going wrong as well, and then it's important that we're there to support and taking care of our users. And we also have a host guarantee. It started first in the US with $1 million. Now we have it in all the countries where we operate, to when things go wrong, that we support our users financially and taking at least the financial burden off their shoulders. And we're a part of what people say the sharing economy, and how is this going here in the Netherlands? We see that we now have 11,000 listings, 3 tipis, and even the windmill. For some strange reason, when we opened up 6 offices in Europe in the beginning of 2012, I was a part of starting the Copenhagen office. And all these Scandinavian countries, together with Finland and Iceland, we were too small to really defend to have an office, so we were giving the Netherlands. So it's the Nordics and the Netherlands, and we always saw from the beginning that Amsterdam in particular was extremely fast growing. What's very fascinating with Amsterdam as a market is that it's not as seasonal as many of the other markets we see in Northern Europe. People are coming here in the summer, people are coming in the winter. Yeah, I think I actually added a photo of that windmill. So this is a place you can book here in the Netherlands. I wish I now had like Uber, book 50 nights for free or something like that, but it's actually bookable. And we did an impact study back in the beginning of 2013. And this is it's a map of Amsterdam where you see where we have different listings. And actually, something we're very proud of is that 73% of the listings in Amsterdam, worldwide, it's around 80% of the properties we have on our site are outside of the city center. That means that we are unlocking neighborhoods, that we're bringing tourism, bringing money, more money into new neighborhoods that wouldn't have had any tourism if it wasn't for Airbnb, because there's no other options there. Another thing that we see worldwide, about 75% of our users are actually renting out their primary residence, renting out an average of 30 nights a year. So these are not people that are doing this as a business, but this is something they're doing on the side to make some extra money. And that's the sharing economy. I like to think of the sharing economy in two different ways. One is, of course, sharing your lifestyle, sharing your home, sharing your bed. But it's also utilizing unused space. We see how we're spending, how we're wasting resources today all over the world, especially in the richer part of the world, that we need to make a change. If we keep wasting the way we do today, there won't be too many generations on this planet after us, and that's the fact. So it's really important for us that we're utilizing more what's already out there. But the sharing economy is growing extremely fast. It's not just accommodation, car sharing, food sharing, skill sharing. And I think one of the challenges that we're facing is that for Airbnb, for instance, with accommodation, we are disrupting a well-established business, for instance, with the hotels. And first of all, we say that it's extremely different to stay in someone's home than staying on a hotel. And what I think we see all over the world is that there are good regulations for private people today. There are good rules and regulations for businesses, but there's not something in between. So we are very proactive in working with governments all over the world. Here in the Netherlands, local councils in Amsterdam, in particular, are very open-minded to what we're doing, wanting to work together with us. And I think it's important that we create a framework, some sets and rules and regulations for these private people that are renting out or that are making a micro business out of their home or their skill set or whatever it is. And we're not there yet all over the world. I'm sure you've read about Airbnb and the challenges we're facing everywhere. But this is something we truly believe in, and what we're doing at the moment is educating people how it works, what we're doing, how it's impacting people. We see that we did this in London, was it in January? We saw that 40% of the hosts on Airbnb in London are entrepreneurs themselves, making the income on Airbnb to fund their own business, which is truly giving for us and making it easier for more people to achieve their dreams. This I can talk about for hours. I think my time is running up. So that was Airbnb, hopefully in 20 minutes. Thank you very much.